Toma no arigato.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Going there. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Hey.
Welcome in. It is now March 27th. I see our levels are doing well. I have to say, well, first of all, hello, Mandy. How are you doing?
Hi, Amani. Hi, everybody. I'm awesome. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I have to say, I love our little intro video montage. It's really cool. So we have to give props to our partner in crime who made that because it looks really good.
Corbin Bravo.
Yes.
And he, despite not knowing both of our loves of music and my personal love of horns, picked that music out, which
Well
I
done,
thought
Corbin.
was quite accidentally astute of him. Welcome. Well, good
Very
job,
astute.
Corbin.
So we'll give
Yeah.
Corbin some virtual applause.
Oh.
Yes. Okay, so just so the audience knows, if you hear some thumping around on my end, I'm having some scaffolding put up at my home because there's work being done. So I'm gonna try to mute and all, but that's what's the exciting part of my weekend and week is going to be this week. It's spring break, so no classes. I have to do a lot of grading though. What about you? What are you looking forward to most this week, Mandy?
Well, I want to give a sound disclaimer too. If you hear any my husband has been having tech issues, not with our program won't go off, but his system at work, and so there may be some f-bombs or something else. So we all have some fun noise in the background right now. I'm just giving
Okay.
a little giving a little
Yes.
disclaimer. Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Awesome. If
But
you're in the
I am
chat,
excited. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
go ahead. You're
excited
excited.
about the
Mhm.
week. It's the end of the quarter. It's the end of the first quarter of the year, which is crazy. And this and my hotel side of my business is the year we get to give all of our partners contracts, help all of our customers secure great deals. It's crunch time right now, so it's hectic and exciting.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
I am personally excited about our guest today. Erin, I got to meet Erin a few years ago. We were talking in the green room, like about almost 3 years ago. Immediately, like her energy is like on another level. She's hella funny too. Hella is a California word, so she's very funny. Let me translate that. So
Wicked for the East Coasters.
oh, there you go, boss. Yes. So, but very intelligent, very resilient. I can't wait to talk to her. How about we bring her on screen and then we can get her maybe because let's just bring her on screen. So we have Erin right here. So welcome to the show, Erin. So I'll give you a round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you. Stop. Keep going. Stop. Oh, God.
If you were going to introduce yourself in like 30, 40 seconds, I'm really curious to hear how would you introduce yourself?
Oh, man. Okay. Failfluencer, professional Zoom bee. Actually, here's the gist. I'm a founder and a CEO of a professional development company who uses improv comedy to train people on power skills. And through that, we have a lot of fun. We use laughter, levity, positivity, and experiential learning to make people better at their jobs. That's really it. That's the gist.
You said something at the beginning. You said fail fluencer. What is that?
Failfluencer.
How do you define that?
Yeah. So if you go on Instagram, you can find me very quickly. Just put in the hashtag failfluencer. I'm not an influencer. I'm not giving out links to Amazon. I'm giving you links back to yourself. Because truly, there's a saying in improv, no mistakes, only gifts. And I really lean into that concept. As you said, very resilient. Amani, thank you for being the best introer ever. That was amazing. Can you come to
Take me on
every
the road.
meeting I'm a part of? Yeah,
Just record it. Bring him. Yeah.
I need that. I need that. But yeah, it's really leading into this concept of failure and just instead of seeing failure as this huge bummer, it's looking at it as a gift and It's not a lot of people think when they're like, "Oh, and you love failure, you're a failfluencer, it's toxic positivity." It's actually the opposite. It's leaning in to discomfort. It's becoming more comfortable with the uncomfortable and doing things that scare you. And when you do those things, you're going to fail. So actually celebrating the fact that you're doing them is the concept.
Okay, okay. Now, audience, before I go to Mandy, make sure if you have questions for Aaron, put them in the chat. We'll shout you out. Over to you, Mandy.
Well, I want to build on your fail fluencer because I was listening to a podcast with you over the weekend and you talked about fail parties or fail fiestas. Can you share that with us? And you not only share like what that is and what the purpose of it is, but for those grumpalumpaguses that are out there and they talk about like everybody gets a trophy and they're naysaying about the power of failure. Can you just combat that a little bit? So tell us what it is and tell us how it works and combat the grumpalumpaguses.
Oh, okay, hold on. Let's see here. Looks like you might have frozen a bit, Aaron. So
Was it
maybe.
me? See, look,
Oh,
we're already failing. Look at this failure
so,
party
yeah.
in action. Okay, I heard you, Mandy. I heard you say the grumpalumpaguses, and for everybody who's like, say that last part again. That's where I got cut off.
Yeah. So tell us about your fail parties and tell us for the naysayers against failure when people think you have to be perfect all the time. Like tell us combat that.
Yeah, for sure. Because I'll tell you what, I was a perfectionist. I'm a recovering perfectionist turned failfluencer. It's a lifestyle. It's a choice. Somebody's got to do it. No, but I will tell you, it's funny you said failure fiestas. I like want to use that now so bad. I love that concept. I call it a failure party, but now it's a failure fiesta. See it? No
Take it.
mistakes, only gifts. I'm taking
That's
that.
right.
That's amazing. Um, so okay, just short version of this. In 2020, the business that I founded, Improve It, was a completely in-person business. We literally had nothing online, not even the podcast that we now have. Everything was completely person to person, completely human to human. And so, in a matter of weeks, we had to quickly pivot to become completely virtual almost overnight. And so, it just felt like failure after failure after failure, not to mention I had a lot of things going on personally at the time that I was working through. And it was this crash course in resilience. And so that's where the Fluencer idea came from was okay, instead of just sitting here taking hit after hit, why don't we reframe this? And so my team and I started having failure parties. And this is literally like so you make a vision board, right? And you could I have one right here on the opposite side of my camera. It has all these things that I'm excited about. The failure party is not necessarily what you're excited about in the future. It's what you're going to celebrate from the past. So you put pictures of things that you have failed at, projects that might have gone awry, personal, professional, and then we would have a meeting every quarter and share these failure boards. And after every failure, we would say, fail, yeah. And that is this idea that we're trying, we're showing up, we're not giving up, and we're going to keep going and celebrate the success of putting one foot in front of the other. And it really proved to be effective and we got through the pandemic and now we're stronger than ever because of all those pivots.
I love that. Now,
Now,
what do you say to the people that are like, listen, we're not in an everybody gets a trophy world.
Yeah.
It's not good to fail. What do you say to those jerks?
I know. Jerks. No. So, I mean, it's like this to me and I, have a kid. We were talking about this before. We can't all win, right? Like that's part of life. But for the people that say, okay, well, how celebrating this seems disingenuous, or it seems as if, somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose. What I go to is the internal piece of this. It's a mindset shift. And when you can change your own mind, you can change your own words, which will therefore, and your thoughts, which will therefore change your actions.
Mm.
So, to that person who is the naysayer, I'm going to say, give it a try because guess what? If you tried to reverse your own psychology, imagine the things that you would think, and then imagine the things that you could do.
Mm.
Can you
Powerful.
share with us an example of one item that was on your vision board that's like a failure and how you kind of celebrated that at a failure party?
Oh, I love it. Yeah. Okay. Well, here's like some meta stuff. Our podcast was called the Failed It Podcast. Amani, I think you were a guest
I
on the
was, I
Failed
was,
It
yes.
Podcast. So, I mean, foreshadowing is just beautiful. The name lent itself to because there's only so much failure that you can talk about. So the concept of the show, our very first podcast that we launched in 2020 was the Failed It Podcast. And it was awesome. We brought amazing guests, successful people, authors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs, people like Amani and you, Mandy, on if had I known you on the show.
Next time. Next time.
Next time.
Next
Now
show.
there's no yeah, well, we got a new one out of it. So we did 50 episodes of the show and we really, we gained an awesome community. However, it just wasn't serving our people with everything that we know how to do, and it was cutting us short. And to be honest, we weren't growing the show. Like it was stopping growth because we were limiting ourselves to this topic.
Mm.
So with that, we changed it to the name of our company, Improve It, and opened the door to talk about all the things that we know how to do using improv. And we've grown, and now we're a top 1.5% podcast. Like it's that in itself, we were getting really stuck in this hamster wheel of, okay, well, now we're stuck creatively. Now we're stuck with our numbers, our data. Now we're stuck because we're feeling like this is a stagnant show. And out of the pandemic, we ran the Failed It podcast for a year and then we changed it to the Improve It podcast. And through that, we have been able to truly, I think, change people's mindset, both personally and professionally, because we have so much more to talk about. And I could give you, I mean, that was on my my failure party board for a long time because I was like, this is good, but it's not great. And also it just you could just feel the energy, when you can feel
Mhm.
negative energy. It was starting to feel that way and it was becoming a chore. And now the podcast is something I live for. I love. We have such an amazing community, but also depth to the show. And I felt like Failed It was like, yes, we're talking about failure, but we're skimming the surface. And with Improve It, we're able to go like scuba diving
Mhm.
and really get deep on certain topics.
Okay,
Mm.
great analogy. Before we get to Manny's next question, hello, Carolyn Harris in the chat. Welcome in. Feel
Hi,
free to ask a
Carolyn.
question. Over to you, Mandy.
Well, I want to, that's a great segue to Improve It, to your business, right? So 8 years, has it been 8 or 9 years that you've been in business with Improve It?
Yeah, it's going on 9, which is crazy. Yeah.
Going on 9, right? So I'm super curious about Improve It in terms of you have all these different facilitators all over the country, maybe even all over the world. How do they interact with each other and with customers? And are you all speaking the same language or does anybody freestyle? How does that work?
Yeah. So it's so funny because, even though we're improvisers, everything we do is planned to the minute because it's
Mhm,
professional development. So it's
mhm.
a tried and true methodology. We have 22 improv professionals in New York, Chicago, LA. I was telling you this before we hit record. Everybody's spread out. They all started in Chicago, but now we have teams in these locations. Here's the beautiful thing about improv, and Amani actually DJ'd our virtual holiday party.
Yes, I did.
Which if those walls could talk, if those Zoom walls could talk, um, the beautiful thing about improvisers is that we live by this philosophy of yes and, which means we postpone judgment, of each other. We postpone judgment of ourselves. We take ideas and we heighten them versus negate them. So I sometimes equate what I do to being like the ringleader of the clown car at the circus because everyone is so they're just bit after bit after bit and they're yes anding each other to create this beautiful culture of just energy and good vibrations and positivity. And so when we hired these people, I mean, literally, trying to think, the last set of hires we made was 2018. Most people have been with us either since 2014 or 2016.
It's awesome.
They are just the best humans because I truly believe the qualities of a good improviser make up the qualities of a great human. And you really have to pick these facilitators. I also say it's like the airplane test when we hire. Who do you want to sit next to on an airplane with for 8 hours, and who will be kind, compassionate, and show
Mm.
empathy towards you in that 8-hour time frame? And truly, that is who we have on our team are these kind, compassionate humans who see everyone in the world and want people to feel seen, heard, and valued. And they do that through laughter. And it's just this amazing combination. So everything we do is proven methodology. We have pre-work, live sessions, either virtual or in person. We have post-work. We have laugh breaks and keynotes, and we do all of it with a methodology that is great for us, but it serves the people that we are there to serve. And it's just a beautiful thing to witness. Just watching people come in and then leave.
Yeah, so follow up to that, right? Because we're all speakers here, right? And so let's just say you go into a room and there's 50 people there. And especially right now where it's like, are you working from home? Are you working in the office? Some people haven't ever met each other. There's so many communication issues within organizations
Yes.
right now. So you're coming into essentially a broken room. And I'm willing to bet, and correct me if I'm wrong, but one of your key strengths of your business is you're coming into a broken room, but you're leaving the room as one. Like, can you give us an
Yes.
example as how you've done that before and in what that situation might have looked
Oh my
like?
God. Yes. So, I mean, every client, like you said, is having very similar issues post pandemic, trying to figure out this hybrid world, trying to figure out cross cultural communication, trying to figure out this remote work versus in person work. And um, here's a case study for you. This is actually really recent, and it was with a consulting firm to be named nameless, and there was 100 people. Okay, this whole office in Chicago spoiled it, but this whole entire office, and so long story short, the guy who ran the office, he was not bought into the idea. His team really wanted this for their organization for their Chicago offsite. And I'm telling you, we gave the star treatment. I mean, normally we do like a discovery call, a follow-up call, and then we have the event. I mean, we gave him multiple calls. He wanted the extra love. And I was like, I'm gonna hold your hand. And then the day of, I want you to hold my hand and then I want you to let go. And I will never forget because here's what was going on with his team. Same thing. They were all over the place working remotely. This was their first time getting together in a year and a half. And he was really scared that this was going to be off putting because it is so experiential and because it's so outside the box. Within 10 minutes, I watched 100 people and I kind of given my team the heads up like, this might be a hard one. I watched the room just have almost like a collective sigh of relief that they
Oh,
got to be and just hang out and experience each other and laugh and play. And then by the end of this session, oh my God, the guy who was nervous, the manager of the entire 100 people, gave me a hug. He hugged the team. He hugged
oh.
his teammates and his direct reports. And he was just so happy because you could feel the energy shift. And it's like people just let down their guard. They take off their hypothetical masks and they just be. And through that play is where we teach.
I
And
love that. Hypothetical masks.
Mm.
Hypothetical
yep,
masks. That's
yep,
fun.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
yep.
great.
if we can start kind of, I'm curious if you could share what impact improv has had on you personally and professionally, because that's kind of at your core. So I would love for you to
Yeah.
explain to us how that's impacted your personal life and your professional life.
Yeah. So, to be honest, just really quick side note, it scared the crap out of me when I first started doing it. I grew up dancing and acting with a script. And it was like the sweatiest thing I've ever done in my life. Like, talk about a nice antiperspirant. I mean, I needed so much deodorant to go into these classes. So I started leaning into this fear again, fail fluencing and getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. And while I was doing this, I was working at a recruiting firm at the time. And during that time, I just saw my professional self shift. I was more in the moment with clients because I was doing business development at a recruiting firm, which is a very hard job. I was a better listener. I was more empathetic, and I just felt as if I was more present to my own life professionally. And then personally, it has made all the difference. I feel like because I actually am in the moment and I'm not thinking ahead, I truly listen to people. And then also through that, they feel seen and heard. And that is the greatest gift. I mean, what are we here for if we're not connecting with one another and making each other feel valuable? So, in my personal relationships, I have used this art form to just go deeper in my own spiritual beliefs. I'm very spiritual. I won't say religious. I'm a spiritual human. And I have seen the work of improv shift my own energy and then shift the energy of any room that I go into. Because it is just it is an art form that makes you have to be fully present and fully embody who you are and be okay with that in order to do it. It's almost like it's therapy, but it's
Yeah.
experiential therapy.
Mm.
Amani, have you ever done improv before?
Not yet, but I'm
Oh.
open to it. I'm
Ah!
open to it. I'm ready to go. I've been, because I have two students are like into improv, so they're so inspiring to me because they're so young and they're into it. So I'm open to it. I've heard, Aaron's story, Judy Holler's story.
Love
I'm
Judy.
also wondering, mindset. Have you always had such a strong growth mindset? And how have you been able to develop it into that? If not, or if so, like what has been your journey in terms of your mindset? Because it's very evident off the jump just how strong your mindset is. How have you been able to cultivate that muscle?
Oh, it started when I was 3 years old. No, I'm just kidding.
In the
Just kidding.
streets
Yeah,
of Georgia.
yeah. Went straight to my couch in Georgia. No, it was, and I like that, and thank you. I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna receive that. And by the way, Judy Holler is who introduced us, and we love us some
Mhm.
Judy. So
Yes.
yes, I will say that my life, when I look back, has been an evolution, and I look at as a giant puzzle, and every single piece of my life I feel like was guided to get to where I am, if I'm being honest. I could look back in my 20s and be like, "Oh, she was dumb." She did some dumb things. And I can look in my 30s and say, "Okay, she was evolving." And I
Mm.
watch myself learning, and it's like this sort of spiritual aspect of we come into the world knowing who we are, we forget it along the way, and the goal is to remember who it
Yes.
is that we are. So in order to do that, we have to experience, and then once we experience, we can actually be. And so I feel like I'm now finally at 40 years old, a human being, but the growth mindset, like she was growing a lot. There was some growth. And it was not there was a lot of growth, and but it was experiencing it. So I think the growth mindset, I think I was born with this desire because I've always wanted to help people. I just didn't know how to. Like, I wanted to be a florist because they make people happy all the time, but I didn't really like flowers, and I kill every plant I've ever had. I had a plant, Zoe Day Plantel died upon impact. I mean, she was dead. upon arrival from Trader Joe's. She was an orchid. And it's just like, the life that if I look back on it, I realize I've always had this part of me to remember to be, but I had to experience a lot of things along the way. So I had it. I just had to remember how to be.
Mm.
Mm.
I want to talk about your spirituality because you just talked about that, and mindset is so much a part of a spirituality. And you and I we have a couple things in common, but I think the thing we have the most in common is our mutual love of Oprah. Opes.
Oprah! Oh my
Okay.
god, I went teal. I
Opes.
went
Teal.
teal.
Teal and Opes. I
Amazing.
told you there's so many things. There's so
There's
many
layers
things.
to our best friendship. Oh my
Layers,
god.
layer.
Okay,
You saw
okay.
it here first, people. This is a
Yes.
budding lady romance. It's happening before your very eyes.
I'm glad I could
I
be
am
friends with you.
shook right now. I am
But
shook.
can you talk about Oprah? Can you talk about being at Clemson, going to Chicago, chasing your Oprah dream? And then can you talk about Super Soul Sunday versus Masterclass at the end of that?
Yes, yes, yes. Okay.
Okay, let's
You
do
know
it.
what's funny?
Let's
So I
get
told
into
you I
it.
have a vision board like right in front of me here in my
Mhm.
Philfluencer podcast closet. Okay. I see her face like on 3 different little things. Like she's with us here.
Oh,
Hey,
good.
mwah, mwah, mwah.
Oops.
Mandy and I love you. And Amani. I'm gonna say Amani too.
You're
Um,
correct.
okay, okay. We love you. So just I've always loved her. What I love about her is that she uses her platform and who she is for pure good. And she's known I heard somebody say this recently and I was like, "Yes." Oprah did not start off being Oprah. Oprah also went through this journey of remembering how to become Oprah.
Mhm.
And she uses her spirituality and her mindset work to be Oprah. Like she could not be Oprah without her mindset and
Mhm.
without her boundaries and without her spiritual work and without the goodness that she brings to the world. So I am obsessed with just how she has used her work to help others. And that's when I was a little girl. I was so drawn to that. Like at 13 years old, I kept saying I was going to be Oprah. And that is why I moved to Chicago because she lived there. Like, who
Mhm.
does that? Who does that?
I love it. I love it. I love it. But what happened? Like, what happened when you got to Chicago? Because I love that Oprah, like, essentially, Oprah steered you to where you were meant to be, whether you ever met her or were on her show or not. Like, she
Yeah.
steered your love of her steered you towards the magic that happened in Chicago. And what was that? What was the
Okay.
magic?
This is a fun story. I literally had $150 in my bank account. I sold my car. And I was like, I'm moving to Chicago. Okay. This was the early 2000s. So there weren't like a lot of online courses on how to be Oprah. So I was like, I got to figure this out on my own. So, so first of all, I applied for an internship at Oprah, didn't get it, but I'll come back to that in a second. I did get a free internship at a casting agency. Okay. So made $0. Then I walked my 22-year-old self into the Actors Equity office in Chicago, did not have an Actors Equity card. Okay. There was no business in me doing this, but I was auditioning for a show that had a dance element because I was a dancer and also improv element. And I got it. And it was an off-Broadway show and I was in it for 9 months. I made $50 3 nights a week. So I made 100
Yeah.
I was like a huge salary. $150. So then I worked at a bar, Duffy's Bar and Grill. It was a very classy establishment. But that was my life and my crash course. And then in the evenings, I took improv classes and I just absolutely loved it. And I learned so much and I started booking hosting gigs and MC work and all of that stuff. But I never actually got to meet her. I did interview at her office. And yeah,
Oh, how
and
was
I did
that?
that was insane, and I think they knew that I was certifiably insane because they were like I was like, "Is she here? Is she here? Like, where is her office?" I didn't get it. It was for an it it was for an executive assistant job to a senior level producer, and there let me just say this, I'm really good at being my own boss. I could never support somebody like that. I just don't know. She read through all of the things. She's like, "This lady is going to stalk Oprah," which was probably right. So, but I was like, "Oh, let me breathe the air. I can die now." And, it was just the best. It was a crash course in resiliency. But long story short, she is a guiding light, and she's been my guiding light. Like, I still have her on my vision board because I do wanna meet her one day, and I just wanna say thank you for Masterclass and Super Soul Sunday, for all the amazing people she has brought on the show, for the books that she reads to tell us to read, for telling me what my favorite things are every holiday season, for giving us all the memes that say, "You get a car, you get a car." Like, I want her to know. Thank you.
We will share this with her for
Oh, I
sure.
love that. I
Somebody
love
watching, if
that.
you know her, please send this to her. No, I'm just kidding. But I mean, she really is. She's just a light in the world, and I feel like, I've just really have witnessed her impact, and we all as the world has, but I've wanted to emulate that forever, and that's
I
why.
think you are well on your
Yeah,
way, and that
yeah,
trip to
amen.
Chicago got you to Second City, and now you're doing your own improv company. I think whether she knows it or not, she's getting you there. The Oprah's getting
Yeah,
you
Okay.
there. Yeah.
Full circle,
absolutely.
Mandy, full
Mhm.
circle.
For
God bless
sure.
it. We're besties forever. And also, Oprah's now getting a restraining order against me, but it's fine.
Fine. Fine.
I want to ask you about fear because we all have fears, but I'm curious your perspective in terms of what's your definition of fear and how do you yourself get through fear, particularly when it comes to like growing your business. You're like 9 years in, 8 or 9 years in now. You got through a pandemic, so that's like adding 5 or 10 years, really, if we're being honest.
Mhm.
So, definition of fear and how do you work through that in your current environment?
Woo, money. This is touching on the spots today. Well, so speaking of spirituality, I am a
Yes.
student in A Course in Miracles, and I am studying this book, and I'm really leaning into this idea of fear is not real. It is our ego. It is, again, this mindset that we create for ourselves. I can't tell you how many times, like, for example, today, I received an email from a colleague that I was shocked to get an email from because in my head, I made up a story that this person did not like me. Like, I literally made this story up. I made it up. And so, fear, we are all born, like I said before, we're all born with love. We're all born here to remember who we are supposed to be. And in my mind, what I tell myself now when fear comes up is choose love instead. And I use a little trick from the improv stage that I sort of just kind of I can share it with you guys. I can share with the audience too, called new choice. So anytime I have a limiting belief or I have some type of thought that is not of my higher self, I say, new choice, which is an improv game. And I first forgive myself for thinking that negative thought because that is what you're doing. You are harming yourself. Again, back to your thoughts. And then I choose a more kind and loving thought instead. And that in itself is so quick. I always tell people this is an improv game. Great news. You don't need a stage or a scene partner because the scene partner is your mind. And once you can allow yourself to think a more positive thought instead, you are transforming again your thoughts, and your thoughts then transform your actions. And it's just, if we allow fear in, for me, I'm just going to say this story, and then this is the quickest version. I was really anxiety ridden over the past couple of years. I had a lot, as we all did with the pandemic. It manifested into physical pain, like physical pain, chronic pain.
Mhm.
And it took me a long time to realize the root of the pain was my anxiety because it wasn't diagnosable by doctors, x-rays, blood work, all the stuff. So the moment I started really recognizing my attack thoughts, the negative things I was saying to myself, which was so mean. There were so many mean things I was saying up there. and I started replacing them with a new choice and with kinder and loving words, that was the moment that I actually saw growth in our business. That was the moment that my health changed and my back didn't hurt anymore.
Mm.
And it's just crazy what fear can do to us. And I let it run my life for a little bit and I saw the aftermath. And then when I consciously made a decision to intentionally choose again, I saw what it could do and I saw the results there.
So to follow up, why don't the next 2 or 3 minutes? Why don't we play the improv game with like Mandy and myself, just so people in the
Yes.
audience and we can see how it works, just to see how powerful it is. And I can be the guinea pig
Okay.
if you like. So let's just so the people can see. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm so proud of you, Amani, first of all, for doing this because this is an improv crash course right here for you. Okay. So, okay, right now, what is something that you might have said to yourself today that's negative, Amani? What's something you might have said? Or
Well,
here's a better idea. Here's a better thing.
fear. Go ahead.
Yeah, for fear, what is something that you would consider a tiny fail in your life today, this week? Something like you woke
Mm,
up late, you spilled coffee
okay.
on your pants. What's
Let me
something that you've been beating yourself up about?
let me
Definitely the
see. I
coffee on
can
the
I
pan.
can I can do something that's maybe not tiny but kind of heavy because I want to see how you maybe would steer this way because it could really help me.
Yeah,
Try that. So
go
I
ahead.
have like this fear of like growing old alone.
Oh, okay. So this is like a thought you think a lot. Okay,
Yes.
so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna all clap and go. New choice. Okay, ready?
Okay. New
New
choice.
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 Amani, tell yourself you forgive yourself for that thought.
Okay. I forgive myself for that thought.
And now I want you to think a more kind and loving thought instead. So instead of, I'm afraid I'm going to grow old alone, how can you reframe that into a kinder thought for yourself? And I can help you, but try it yourself first.
I think I'm gonna need your help. This
Okay.
work.
So yeah, no, and so you could say, instead of growing old alone, I'm going to surround myself with a support system of people who love me no matter what. I'm going to actively seek out people in my life who make me feel good, and I will be so loved and I'll feel so much strength around me that this thought is not true.
Got it. You want me to repeat that?
Yeah.
Oh,
Or just you
that'd
and
be
your
fun. Let's hear that. You
yeah,
got
yeah,
it.
you
So
and your
You
own
got
words.
this, Amani.
so I'm gonna surround myself with people that love me and support me, and that will allow me to never be alone and just to continue on a positive path.
Yes. Okay, round of applause. New
Yes, we give
Good
choice.
job,
you know,
Amani. We're here.
Yes, yes, okay,
You'll never be alone with the Teal sisters, Amani.
there
that's
you
right. Teal Oprah sisters.
Teal
Okay,
Oaks, Teal Oaks,
Teal
Oaks.
Opes, Teal Opes. Oh my, look, and you like a Breves. I feel like Mandy, we're here, we're meant to be forever. Okay, all right, Mandy, this is your
Oh,
turn. Okay, you
okay.
ready? Okay, so
Yeah.
what's a negative thought or like a tiny fail that you've had?
I don't know about tiny. It's just on my brain all the time about monetizing content. it's
Oh,
go.
yeah.
Oh,
it's a thing. It's on my brain. Just I
So like
like I'm
what
not doing enough of it.
specifically?
Like I'm not
Okay,
doing enough of it. I'm not digging in deep enough. I have all this content. I'm not doing what I need to be doing with it.
okay, here we go. Ready? New choice. We're gonna clap. New
New choice.
choice.
Okay.
Yes, it's like cheer.
Yeah.
And
New
then
choice.
new
Okay.
choice. And
Yeah.
then tell okay, forgive yourself for that thought.
I forgive myself for not knowing how to monetize my content yet.
And then how can you reframe that?
Well, how can I reframe that? Well, you're building. Am I talking to myself? Who am I talking to in
Yeah,
this
you're talking to
scenario?
yourself. You're
yes.
talking to
Okay.
yourself.
This
Look
is
Yes,
into
like
you
a
the
have
real
to.
Jack.
camera. Speak into
This is
the
like a real
camera.
Jack
Yes.
Handy moment. Okay. Mandy, you are you're creating content, which is more than what a lot of people are doing. And your content is helping so many people. And your content is building your business. And the content is helping you better understand how to be out there and how to do what you really want to do in this world.
Yes. Oh
Yes,
my
yes.
gosh.
Okay. We can
Okay.
use the applause
Yay.
too.
That was fun. Thank you, Erin. That was cool.
Yeah. And you know what? I hope you took that in because and for both of you, for Amani, because truly when you like that came so natural to you. And let me ask both of you this, like, what did you feel reframing it? Did it feel genuine? Did it feel like you actually saw yourself in that moment and the good that you're already doing?
So I'll start off. It was good to reframe it because that's a way you can just repeat that. You can repeat how you said that when you get this little thought that might, sneak into your mind every so often. You can just use what you showed us to kind of make that thought go away.
Yeah.
Mandy, how
I
about
I well, it's funny because as I was saying it, I was like, I am giving people pep talks all the time.
Yes.
But when was the last time I gave myself a pep talk?
There you go. There you go.
That was what I was thinking as I was saying it. It felt good to me, and then I was like, "Well, I should do this for myself more often instead of just helping others." Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
Mandy, amen. Let me tell you, I that is like what I recognized in this whole sort of self-healing journey is that same thing. Like all of us here, we're teachers, we're facilitators, we're speakers, thought leaders, like whatever you want to say, right? And truly, we pump each other or we pump other people up. That's our job. The one person that we sometimes forget to do that with and for, not sometimes, most of the time, when you're a giver and a teacher, you forget to give it back to yourself. And I recognize this in myself. I will say the meanest things to
Mhm.
myself,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
will never say it to you. I'll never say it to you. I would never say it to my best friend, even my worst enemy. But I'm like sitting here calling myself names and
Hmm.
comparing myself, which is another thing that's rooted in fear. So
Yes.
it's just so crazy that we as humans do this internally. It's just a thought shift. It's so easy to do, but we just don't do it.
Mhm.
It is. It is. How?
Truth.
Just really quickly before, in a minute after this question, we're going to let you turn the tables on us and ask us a question individually.
Yes.
But how is comparison rooted in fear? I want you to continue on that thought.
Yeah. Truly, if you think about it, what are you doing when you're comparing yourself? You're attacking yourself. And that in fear is saying, I'm not good enough. I don't have, it's a lack mentality versus an abundance mentality. So when we compare ourselves, we are afraid of what we don't have. And we are afraid because we want what we think this other person has. And in turn, what that does is it just brings on more lack. When instead of comparing, you can say, I'm going to be inspired versus triggered by this person.
Mm-hmm.
You can give that person love and outwardly give them positivity for showing you something that you want, which will open, I think, energetically, abundance back to you. And so fear just perpetuates fear. You just like go down this fear shame hole of more fear. The more you start comparing yourself, if I'm comparing myself to you, Amani, or you, Mandy, and I just keep going and going and going and looking at your Instagram and looking at this
Mm-hmm.
amazing book you've put out and doing all these things, right? Like that in itself is not doing anybody any good. All it's doing is making me crazy and making me just continuously think negative thoughts. But if I new choice it and I'm saying, I'm so proud of you, I'm so proud of you for the work that you've done. It is inspiring to me because I want X, Y, and Z, right? And give you that love, then I'm just giving out love and hopefully that love's coming back at some point, but I'm just giving you good vibes. And so I've really learned this the hard way. Like I went the opposite way in certain times in life and it sucked. And when you just reverse it, you know who's a good person who does this really well is Judy Holler. She
Yeah.
is a love giver. She gives out so much love. And I just feel that from her and I'll do the same to her and I'll do it to anybody, I know who has done something I want to do because that is how we create more is by giving out more love. When we create, when we give out abundance, we are creating, which is what we all do is we create content, we create things. And so
Mhm.
that is it.
All
Go
right.
create.
Now,
Yeah.
Aaron, you can ask myself and Mandy a question too. You can choose who you want to ask a question first, and then we'll answer it, and then we'll that's flipping the script, and then we'll get back to kind of the traditional programming. So
Okay.
over to you,
Oh
Aaron.
my god, I love a flip script. Okay.
Flip.
Flip, flip, flip. Mandy, okay, Mandy, I'm gonna ask you this and then to you, Amani, okay?
Okay.
Same question. What is the scariest thing you've ever done? And from that, what is the biggest lesson?
Oh, geez, Louise. Well, this is a the first thing that comes to my mind. I don't know if it's the scariest. It's the first thing that comes to my mind is many years ago when my husband and I first started dating. Well, my boyfriend at the time. He was visiting me in San Francisco. I was there for work and he was flying. I don't remember the logistics, but I was there before him. And I saw him on the street corner and I was going to meet him and I was so excited to see him. I just went running across the street like I lost all my marbles. I didn't even look. It was traffic. It was 5 lanes. I almost died. And like there were cars stopping, slamming on brakes, getting the horns. And it was like it was so awful and awesome because I kept after that happened, he was like, "Don't ever do that again." Like you almost died in front of me. But the gist of it was like I was so excited to see him. And in
Oh.
my whole life, I've never been that excited to see a guy I was dating ever. And I kept thinking like I was so like how sad if he would have saw like his brand new girlfriend just get splattered by a car in the streets of San Francisco. But how awesome it was. Like that was like a moment for me. Is like I would have never blindly done that for anybody ever in my life. And that was sort of a
Aw.
moment for me where I was like, God, this guy makes me blind all over the place. Like I really, really like this person. So that it changed my life. It changed how I looked at our relationship. It changed a lot.
Oh, I
Mhm.
love that.
Yeah, that was the
Okay.
first thing.
And now you're married. Now you're married. How long have you been
Thirt
married?
We've been married for it'll be 9 years in July, but we've been
Wow.
together 13 years, so it's
Nice.
working. Yeah,
I
so
love
far so
this.
great.
I love this.
Mhm.
Okay. This was a story rooted in happy fear. Okay. Amani, I'm so curious. I'm
Yes, of
curious too.
course.
Did you tell us your story? Does it involve traffic?
No, no
Okay.
traffic. There's
A
none of
splattered girlfriend.
Yes.
no, none of that. I would say the scaredest I've been, if that's a word, is leaving my like 6-figure corporate job with Marriott to pursue DJing full time.
Yeah.
And now it's been 11 years later,
Wow.
definitely thriving, doing better, even had able to survive the pandemic and like rebuilding the business again. And picked up like a teaching job. So it's worked out very well, but it was very scary and it was rough road. It was a grind to get to where I am now.
And you're crushing it. You mean business, I think, right?
Yes,
You
yes,
just
yes,
mean
yes.
Yeah.
business.
Yes, we
Yes.
mean
DJ Amani Amro. DJ Amro means business.
Yes, yes, you mean business. Can I tell you both something? This question was posed to me once in a therapy session. Just gonna lay that out there. And it was after doing I was going through a really hard time. I was going through an infertility journey and my therapist was like, "What is something scary that you've done that you overcame?" And I literally in that moment could not think of a single thing. So this was very awesome that both of you came up with that very quickly. And you know that. Like that was just Amanda, yours was like right there. And Amanda, you had a couple more seconds to think about it. But if you truly sit and think with that question longer, I'm sure you could think of 10 other things that you've done.
I
yeah,
think that's a good thing for our listeners and to just like a little takeaway homework assignment of like, think about something you've been scared to do and it doesn't matter if you did it with like all the A pluses, but you just did it and
mhm,
give yourself that like pat on the back for it because there is a lot that we do on a daily basis that is very, very scary, right? And you just Aaron, you rattled off 14 things and we've only been chatting for 45 minutes. Like I'm sure the list goes on and on. You're a real inspiration to all of
yeah.
us.
Oh my God. Well, I feel the same about both of you. I said that, before we hit record, you've done so many things, so many vulnerable things. And it's really cool to be in this experience, pun
Thank
intended, of
you.
money.
No,
But truly though, it is because, and that's one thing too, just even going back to like your thought, Amani, your
Hmm.
like deep rooted thought. Look at who you're surrounding yourself with, you know?
Exactly. Hmm.
People who do cool shit and who get outside their comfort zones, and the people that you keep in your life will be a part of this journey. So just remember that, and and choose the people that do I always think about this. I'm like, who does cool stuff? And I remember we moved here 2 years ago to Charleston, and I have this neighbor, she's a cookbook author, she's just an inspiration for who everything she does, and I said to myself, "I'm gonna make her my friend," and now she's my best friend.
Well
I
done.
I'm
And
telling you, this is how you do it. That like you seek out more of what you want in your life and you make
Yes.
people your friends. I
yes.
agree. I
Yes,
agree,
and
Aaron.
Mandy,
Do it.
now we're friends, and we have this
Yes.
Abrieve's Oprah Teal connection forever. Amani, we were already friends, so
Yes.
we're nailing it.
Yes.
We're nailing it.
We see you in the chat, Carolyn Harris. Keep sharing your thoughts with us. Um, we have to talk about books. So I'm really curious to know, like, what have you read lately that's had a big impact on you? What are some of your favorite books that you love to recommend to people? Talk to us about that.
Oh my god. So I love books, and I will say there's been so many books that have changed my life. I'll start for one that was I had 15 years ago. It's called Skinny Bitch, okay? I don't love the title. However, it's a book about your health, and it's a book for vegans. I'm not vegan, but I am pescatarian. I've had a pescatarian lifestyle for 15 years, and it has changed my life and the way that I feel about food, and that changed everything. Then, An Artist's Way by Julia Cameron.
I
Mm.
love that book.
Oh
Oh,
my
I know,
god,
man. Mhm.
literally. Yes, yes. The reason I am sitting here in Charleston, South Carolina, with a business that is now in all over the US, is because of that book. Because I realized through some of that work in the writers, oh, sorry, the what is it?
Morning
The morning
pages.
pages, yes,
Pages.
and
Yes.
just even the activities that she asks. My ideal day was waking up near water, being in sunshine. I lived in Chicago for 15 years. I It was like this wake up call to live near the ocean and live in warm weather and be near family, and so that book guided me here. Then I was telling you about that journey I went through with physical pain, and I just read a book called Healing Back Pain by Dr. John Sarno, which is all about the mind body connection, as well as a book called When the Body Says No by Gabor Mate.
Mm.
These 2 books changed my life very recently and helped me recognize the root of my pain was due to these unprocessed emotions that I had stuck and just disassociated from for the past 5 years. And once I went to a very large healing cocoon, it was like a snuggie that I just did not get out of for like 2 months, and really worked through those emotions due to these books. I literally don't have pain. And when it comes up, I know it's because I have attacked myself, or I've had some form of anxiety that I need to work on.
Mm.
So those
Okay.
are, yeah,
There's good books there. I think before I let
Good
Mandy
book.
ask the final question, my kind of final question, because we could talk all day, obviously,
yeah.
is what are maybe your favorite 3 or 4 self-care tips for people to take better care of themselves?
Okay. So I love this idea from Julia Cameron from The Artist's Way, your ideal day, right? Like, what is your ideal day look like? And so for me, I have to get some form of mindfulness and meditation in the morning, and I also have to move my body, whether it's a walk, whether it's just, me going up and down the stairs 10 times. I don't know. It doesn't have to be vigorous, but I have to move my body, and I have to give to myself in the morning first. That means I don't open my phone. That means I don't check email. I don't look at Instagram. I don't get up my sun until I've done these things. The days that I do, I feel completely different. I really do. I feel like I can't talk as well. I feel like I can't write an email. Giving to myself first is been the key to scaling a business, leading a team, having conversations, facilitating. I have to give to me. I have to put water in the tea kettle to fill into the other cups, or there's nothing to pour. And so that is my biggest self-care tip. Maybe you don't like to exercise in the morning. Maybe it's getting up and reading your favorite book. Maybe it's getting up and just sitting in silence, but give to yourself first before you do anything else. And then have some form of self-care in the evening, which does not include scrolling on Instagram because I did that for a long time. That's where the comparisonitis came in.
Mhm.
Give yourself something to give to you. I'm gonna tell you all a little fun fact. I'm practicing what I preach. Tonight, I'm going to my first adult dance class in
Okay.
10 years. Okay, she's going at
Oh,
8:30, and
wow, that's
it's a
great.
it's a beginner level, and normally at 8:30, I am, like, on the couch, like, watching a really bad reality show. This, I'm like, I'm gonna try something new, get outside the comfort zone, but it's thinking intentionally about your evenings and not giving that away as well, like, starting and ending the day with things that fill you up first and wind you down. And not wine, because I also did a lot of that in 2020, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Still like a nice glass of wine, but just not filling the cup with wine.
Got it. Got it. That was great.
That's great.
Mandy, over to you. You can steal my question if you want, because I haven't asked it yet.
Well, no, I'm gonna ask my own, but you can ask your own. We can run over a couple minutes. It's okay. Okay. So dance. So you are a lifetime dancer. You're going to dance class tonight. Are you the kind of person that when you hear a song that might make you harken back to those days, you're like, "Oh, I got a routine to it." Or are you the kind of person that you're at a wedding and you hear a song and before you know it, you're literally guest and whatever that routine was. Is this like is dance still embedded in you so much, or have you forgot, or did you put it in a place and you left it there?
Mandy, it's like it is there, and I am that person at weddings. I also gave ins I still brought a gift, but, like, it was a joke, like, 20s and 30s are filled with weddings. I was like, "My gift to you is a jump split on your dance floor."
Ouch. I
And
couldn't
all my
listen.
friends would be like, jump, split," and I'd, like, wink at you when I did it. Um, so, yeah, that still rings true. There's a sign in our kitchen that says, "This kitchen is made for dancing."
Oh, good. I'm
Yes,
so glad that's still a
yeah.
part of your life. That's
I
great.
went to Clemson. I did dance for the football, basketball teams. I danced
Mhm.
literally from when I was 3 till 25, and then I just it's something I love doing, but there's not a timeline for dancing, Erin, new choice. I just found new interests, and, but I do love it. It's still ingrained in me, and I definitely know, like, every cha-cha slide, if you give me a Cupid shuffle, like, all day, I can do. I also have some dance friends still that are still my best friends, so we do know several 8 counts, call them
Oh,
cadence
good.
counts,
Oh,
okay?
good. Oh, good.
But
Good.
tonight's gonna be a journey because this a real true dance class has not happened, so I'm just preparing the ibuprofen and probably an ice pack on the way home. Just gonna
I think you're gonna be pain free. You're gonna have
Yes,
adrenaline, and you're gonna be your face is gonna be aching from happiness. That's
oh,
my
I
prediction. Yeah.
agree.
oh, Mandy, we need to hang out, we need to hang out. Are you a dancer? Are you a dancer?
I grew up choreographing dance and cheerleading routines my whole life. And so I asked you that because when I read your bio, your Clemson bio, and I was like, I'm sure that when she dances at a wedding, it's a dance routine from the past. It
Oh,
has to
yes,
be. It has to be.
yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mandy,
That's
I
that's my
again,
yeah.
we are one, we are one.
We are
Okay,
one. We are
yeah,
one. Yeah. Mine
yes,
has morphed
yes,
into the robot a little more now.
yes,
Less Janet Jackson,
yes,
a little more robot. But I'd be lying if I didn't say I bust out the Roger Rabbit every now or a
yeah,
centipede, a good
Okay.
centipede every now and again.
a centipede!
A centipede.
Yes!
I love it.
Oh my god, I love this. I love this has been literally the highlight of my day.
Oh,
This is
good.
great.
Good. Me too.
Oh,
for our final question, I love this question. I think I asked you this before, but it was many years ago, so we'll say it again because I bet you it's changed. But if we're gonna go back and talk to Erin as she's just graduating from Clemson, and give Erin advice based on what she knows now, what advice would you give your younger self?
You did ask me this. You know where I thought you were gonna go, though? I thought you were gonna be like, "What is your theme song?" Do you remember that?
Oh
I
yes, I
thought
do.
that's where you were going. Okay, okay. Which that was one of the best questions ever, and this is also an amazing question, and I have to what would I tell younger Erin? What would I tell her? I would just tell let me say this, though, that I actually really admire that Erin because she had, like, this self-confidence that I have no idea where it came from. Like, I would walk in a room and be like, "You're welcome, 5, 6, 7, 8," and then but I did, and then somehow I lost that. So I'd be like, "Good job, girl. Bring that back in your 40s," and, yeah, she literally, I questioned myself in my 20s. I was like, it was so naive. It was like almost like this people said this to me. They're like, "Where does this confidence come from?" And I didn't know I had it.
Hmm.
And then I
Yeah.
lost it.
Mm.
So I think I would tell 22-year-old Erin, "Keep that shit, girl." And I would
Mhm.
say, "Keep going. Don't lose sight of that. Just know that you are here for a reason and experience just enjoy the journey." And I at that time in my life, I really did. And I look back and I did not I did some dumb things, but, like, I don't regret them because I learned from every experience, and I had the best time, and that's it. I just enjoyed it, and that's really funny because I think a lot of people look back and they're like, "I wish I" like, I really liked her,
Hmm.
and then I forgot about her for a little bit. I let the world jade her a little bit, and then I think she's coming back. I think we're
Oh
finding
She's
yes.
her.
still there. She's still there. I
Mm,
feel her. I
Yeah,
feel
love
her.
that.
you know?
Mhm, mhm,
Y'all are the best. Thank you. That was a great question. That's
mhm.
like
Good question.
therapy,
I love the
dance
question.
class, all of the things wrapped in one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do people what are you pushing these days? How do people stay in touch with you? How can we support you? How can our audience support you in your business?
You are the best. Okay, well, we have
Mhm.
a freebie. If you I can give it to you to put in show notes, and it's awesome. It's actually a quiz, and you take it, and it helps you discover your wellness avatar. So we're all about this idea of self-care, putting energy into you
Mhm.
first. So there's you take the quiz, it tells you what how you are with your wellness, and then your own wellness avatar gets sent this email with a play your way into wellness workbook. It's literally 20 pages. You go to your specific spot and it gives you improv techniques similar to New Choice. New Choice is in there. It gives you daily rituals and it gives you energy boosters for your specific avatar, but you can take the whole thing and take whatever bits and pieces work for you. So that's really fun. I'm super into that.
Yeah.
And it's just feeding into the work we're doing. Really, I'm doing more keynotes now myself. My team's still rocking the
Good.
workshops and
Congrats. Yes.
that's been a vulnerable journey as well. A lot of limiting beliefs had to get over. But yeah, keynotes, F words at work is one of them. It's all about failure. And I See You is the name of the second keynote. And it's all about putting that energy into you so you can give to others. And then you can just find me on the socials on LinkedIn, Instagram. But take the quiz. I want both of you to take the quiz because I want to know your avatar. I
Yeah,
really
we
do.
will. We'll
And
share
Sure.
it in our LinkedIn follow-up too after the show.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll take the quiz. Well,
Mhm.
Erin, this has been so much laughter, so many great stories. Just thank you so much for just being you and being a beacon of light. And I'm so proud of you because I know how far you've come in only the short 4 years that I've known you. So keep going. I'm glad you and Manny are not going to be besties. That makes me happy because I love to introduce cool people together. But just
yes.
thank you so much for being so open and honest and vulnerable with us during our conversation. We
Oh my
appreciate you.
God. Well, thank you both. Amani, as always, you're a delight and joy, and I'm so proud of you. And I'm glad I got to meet my new bestie today. And
Yes.
I can't wait to just read your book, do all the things, and support you. And I just love this conversation. I love that you're doing this and bringing light and positivity and goodness to the world. So for both of you, here's your round of applause.
All
Oh,
right. Give us all
thank
some applause. You get an
you.
applause. You get an applause. You get an applause.
Yes, you talking about.
Yes.
All right. We'll put you back in the green room. Hold
Good.
on. And then Ben and I will round out the show. All good, Mandy. Next week. Who do we have next week? I forget.
We have Katie Brewer, but before that, I just want to say I 100%, Aaron and I are going to stormtroop Oprah's place. We might we might have to go to Mendocino, or we might have to go to Malibu, wherever she is, Santa Barbara, under the oaks,
Santa Barbara.
whatever.
Yes.
But like, it's gonna happen. We may enlist Megan and Prince Harry. We might just get a crew, but it's gonna happen. So that's gonna happen. It's, it's gonna happen. It's
Yeah,
gonna
Aaron's
happen.
in the green room. Aaron's in the green room chatting with us still. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mandy.
So next week is Katie
Yes.
Brewer, which we're really excited about, who
Yes. Yes.
just been in our industry for a long time, started this kick-ass company called Onwardly. And I don't know if you have, but I haven't talked to her since she started her new business. So I've seen her in flashes, but I'm excited to get the time with her. And I know the audience is gonna love her for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, everyone, thank you for watching live. Thank you for watching the recording. Take the quiz. We'll put it in the show notes. Thanks again to Aaron Deal for being our amazing guest. We will see you all next Monday, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 on the West. And thank you all very much. Peace out.
I have a beautiful week. Thanks for playing.